scary nature comes in. But
It's
I'm
where
not.
the dread comes in.
It's where the dread comes in. Well done. Hello and welcome to another episode of New Game Plus TV. You are stuck here in the underground bunker, but it's nearly time. I've got my mitts aside already. I've got my flavors of Japan rocking in my mouth, ready to go as soon as we're allowed to leave the country, which we haven't been able to do for a very, very long time. But thank you for joining us here on the New Game Plus TV show. First up today, we have an interesting review. It's been a very long time between drinks for Samus Aran. It's been a very, very long time indeed, and it is nice to see a proper sequel in that series. And so to discuss Metroid Dread in further detail, I bring on long-time show collaborator and good friend of the show, Mr. Jamie Galea. Hello, Mr. Jamie Galea. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing very well. It has been a long time since I have done this. It is terrifying, but I'm here. So hello, how y'all doing?
Thank you for coming in to discuss Dread. Now, give us a bit of background. How big a Metroid fan are you? Like, did you play Fusion? Because I would say the one caveat to playing Dread is you should play Fusion before Dread, but I don't even know how you would play Fusion nowadays. Is it on any of the virtual consoles or anything like that?
So here's my experience. I actually played Fusion properly for the first time this year. I have the ways of doing so, which we're not going to discuss. But I'd say if you want to go do it kind of the correct way, you should go find a Wii U and hope to hell that eShop is still up. I think it's still up till the rest.
I think Wii U is still up. It's Wii.
Yeah, I think it's up.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wii U is up till like January up till like January. So if you want to play Metroid Fusion the legal way and also Zero Mission because it's a good game, you have about 2-3 months. So have fun with that. Thanks, Nintendo. You're great. You're a great company.
Look, when it's all said and done, for all the nice things I have to say about Nintendo, the way they handle their older catalog is not one of the nice things I have to say about them. It's so interesting in the world where Microsoft, with their crappy limited back catalog, and I say that, tongue in cheek, it's just like, hey, as long as we've got it to work, here you go. Just put the disc in, use your old version of it. It doesn't matter. We don't care. Here you go. Merry Christmas. But we should discuss Dread. So Dread is legitimately the follow-on sequel to Metroid Fusion, and it follows directly after the events of. So we have the introduction of Adam in Fusion. So this is a little bit spoilery, I guess, if you haven't played Thing. The introduction of Adam, who's the old mentor for Samus Aran, caught in a computer now. It's the voice of him. It's a weird thing that they do in Fusion. And there's been a sighting of the X-Parasite, which is the big bad of Metroid Fusion. It appears, you go chase it, you meet a warrior that's, it's a Chozo, but how did she say it? Chozo. And then you go and you play a Metroid game. And if you've played any kind of Metroidvania, or in this instance just a Metroid, you know what to expect. It's running back and forth, collecting power-ups, revisiting levels. How do you feel it does? Do you feel it does a good job of that, considering it kind of invented the whole thing, Galea?
Yeah, because that's kind of the thing I was going into. Because obviously, I like this genre of game. I like it a lot, and obviously, there's been so many of them since we had like a major Metroid game. But at the same time, it's like they do a lot of new things here where it's like, this is a game that doesn't really hold your hand in terms of like, okay, where do I go next? Figure it out. And that's kind of the big thing that's really surprised me. It's just a lot of this time is just you exploring the world, kind of naturally finding where to go, but also maybe having to shoot around the world to kind of figure out where exactly to go. And that's kind of been the big surprising thing, to be honest. And that's a really good job of making the world kind of... It kind of creates this world where you don't really know where to go. You just have to explore, which I think works.
So that is one of the things that the game has carried over for a long time now. Is if you shoot missiles at a wall, it will let you know how that wall can be defeated, and whether that wall is morph bomb, or whether it's the dash, or whether it's super missiles, or whether it's whatever the case may be. It shows you how to beat it, and it is. I understand why you say that it's fine. It invented how to do that, but it's always annoyed me a little bit because, I know that that's the point. The point is you're coming back to this area down the way, but it always felt like I was being held back a little bit by my inability to do it. But at its core, it is a Metroid game. It plays very well for a Metroid game. It gets a bit clunky with the controls, I feel like, especially, and we'll move on to discuss they're Grim robots, Emmy robots. We'll discuss them in a second. But I feel like it can get a little bit too junked up with the controls. But I mean, I feel Fusion had that problem a little bit at times as well. Like you've got to hold left bumper, then press X then A to do certain moves and things, and that's something that the series struggles with kind of in general. But how do you feel that it still plays well enough to get past that?
Honestly, aside from kind of the fact that there are moments where you need to hold so many buttons to kind of fight a boss, which I think is maybe a little too much, and I think it's honestly just it's ridiculous, and I kind of wish there was a way to just make that not bad. Because I mean, look, I'm someone who's able-bodied, so this doesn't really affect me so much. But it's like, let me remap that. Let me remap that. That's just too much. Come on, this is ridiculous. But if you put that aside, which is still a big problem, but put it aside for a second, actually moving around in this game is a dream. Like a
Yes.
kind of like just running around exploring. Like the first time I kind of moved Samus, it's like, oh, this is good. And to
Yeah.
me, a good feeling controlling character is the sign of a great game. And
Yeah.
that to me is just, yeah, it feels great. It feels wonderful, and that is top tier. I love it.
That
I
that
love
is
it.
the one thing the game does very well, movement and
Mm.
things like that. I agree with you on. Um, my biggest complaint about the Emmys, and let's go on to them. Is it Emmy? I can't. I'm pretty sure that's right, isn't
No,
it?
it's Emma. You got it
Yeah.
right.
The biggest problem with the Emmys is it's only in certain areas, right? So realistically, you have like a certain block of a particular area that is the Emmy area, and if you go into that area, there's a chance that that would come into, attack you based on thing. And the kind of the two problems with it is twofold. Number one, they move very fast, so you do have to be technically minded as far as controls and stuff go. But the
Hmm.
second problem is like they can be erratic. Like you can't pick a pattern. Okay, so I'm entering this door, and I've just run out this door. I'm just going to wait them out till the door opens up again. Which way are they going to go? Are they going to go down? Are they going to go up? I don't know which way they're going to go, and so it's hard to make a plan based on it. So that's where that frantic, scary nature comes in. But
It's
I'm
where the
not.
dread comes in.
It's where the dread comes in. Well done. I feel like, yeah, like there's tweaks to be made. I'm really nitpicking here. I enjoyed it. I really had fun with it. It was a Metroid game. Now, people are going to go on about whether it's a $60 game or whatever the case may be. But I mean, I got what was on the tin. You know what I mean? Like it told me it was going to be a 2D Metroid game where I would run back and forth, and I
Hmm.
got that, and it felt nice, and it played nice, and it was a very similar style of Metroid game that you've played before. It's not
So,
reinventing the wheel, but it's reinventing the morph ball, and it's not even doing that. It's
mhm.
just existing the morph. It's just continuing the morph ball, if you will, for
so
lack
I'm
of a better metaphor.
I'm one of those people who paid more than that because I got one of those fancy Nintendo game
Of
vouchers.
course you
So
did.
I paid way because I wanted to buy something else with it. But
Yeah,
honestly, I knew that hey, I would pay full price for this. And it is a short game in kind of
yeah,
today's context. But at the same time, I would rather a 5 to 10 hour game that just it excels in what it wants to do as opposed to a 50-hour game. It's just bloated and meandering and wants to waste your time. This doesn't feel like it is what it is. It doesn't waste your time. And I could see where people kind of maybe get angry about it, but it's like these games have never been long. Like this
no,
isn't a new precedent.
they've always been exactly what they are. And I feel like it's a very good, solid first party Nintendo game. Whether there's replayability or not is up to you, but that's always been the case with Metroid games.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I still feel like it's worth the time I spent with it was worth the money I paid. But that said, if it came out at 50 AUD or something like that, it would fly. It would absolutely fly. But Metroid fans will get behind it because they haven't really had a haven't had a new entry into the series in a long time, and this will tickle that particular fancy. What do you reckon? Are you recommending it, Jamie, or are we saying not for this one?
I would absolutely recommend it. To me, it is one of the best games I've played all year. I think I'm actually very close to finishing it myself. I would say if it kind of sticks to landing, it will possibly be my game of the year and maybe a masterpiece. I don't know if we still got a little bit to go, but
All I will say is that I'm currently playing a video game that I think will usurp it, but we can have that conversation when my embargo drops. Either way, Jamie says it's recommended. I definitely recommend it. I think it's a good game. That is Metroid Dread. We'll see you.